Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from today. I'm Celine Yuan, and I'll be your moderator for today's Safety Email Inbox webinar. Joining us today is Vice President of Product Development, Brad Gallien. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please use the Q&A feature on your WebEx tool panel to submit questions, and we will do our best to answer your question at the end of the presentation. And again, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. With that, I will turn you over to Brad.
Thank you, Celine, and good morning and good afternoon, everybody. As Celine said, my name is Brad Gallien, and it's a pleasure to have an opportunity to speak with you all about our Primo product and how it can help you manage your inbound processing. Just a quick legal disclaimer. It's mandatory for us to put this in here. I'm not going to read it to you, but basically it says that this is a demo. What we're going to cover today is a brief overview of who we are as a company and why we're in the product business. Then we're going to look at the process of collecting potentially reportable adverse events and the challenges that can present to a company and the impact that has on your processing. And then we're going to transition into an overview and PowerPoint demo of the Primo product and how it can help address some of these challenges. And finally, we'll do a wrap-up with some questions at the end. Briefly, November Research Group has been around for a little over 12 years now, with most of the principals in the company having been in the industry for significantly longer than that. We're a little north of 75 employees now, with offices in around the United States as well as in Noida, India. And we do two major things here at November Research Group. One is help companies implement commercial pharmacovigilance tools like Oracle Argus, but we also develop a set of utilities and add-on tools that integrate with Argus and other global PV systems in order to improve the overall business process. We also are involved in a number of different other types of implementation activities, from full business transformation as well as some new ventures in mobile technology as well as big data technology. And there'll be some webinars coming up in the next few weeks and months covering those topics as well. So please be on the lookout for those. As I said, we really have two parts of our company. One of them is the services organization that helps companies like yours implement your global PV systems. And really, we provide end-to-end services from that, anywhere from transforming the way you do your business through identification of potential software solutions, all the way through the implementation, training, validation, and even post-production support. And then our products company, which I'm responsible for, is developing commercial off-the-shelf software that is also targeted in the pharmacovigilance area, specifically designed to augment and extend and improve on the commercial systems. And these two parts of our company interact with each other. So our experience over the past several decades implementing safety systems is that inevitably there are gaps in the software that are either functional gaps or they don't quite fit the way our customers envision using the products. And because of our lengthy background in software development, we often look at those gaps and ask the question as to whether or not a software solution might help fill that gap. And then secondarily, we ask whether that solution might have residual value in the market. And if so, we'll work with our customers to commercialize that solution and deploy it as a commercial off-the-shelf software solution. And that activity then feeds back into our services organization, who can then bring those products to bear to help our existing services customers have a better and more efficient process. So there's a sort of a synergistic cycle there that leads to our product development. We have several products that are available. One is the Primo product that we're going to talk about today. We also have an ad hoc reporting tool, which has been historically called Web Reports, but we have a major release of that product coming up in the next few weeks that will add ad hoc query capability to its already powerful ad hoc reporting capability. And that new product called Eureka we think is going to have a major benefit to Argus customers around the world. And there will be an upcoming webinar on that as well. But today we're going to focus on Primo. And the Primo product that we're going to focus on today is targeted to manufacturers and contract research organizations who are looking to streamline and optimize their intake process and solve some of the vexing issues around the intake of potentially reportable adverse events and product complaints. But Primo is part of a broader family, and I wanted to just quickly highlight a couple of the other members of that family. First, on the left side of the slide, is our regulatory offering. So Primo started as a manufacturing tool, focused on manufacturing and CRO customers to support intake. We had an opportunity over the last few years to build out a version of Primo that would support the regulatory authority market. And when we entered that market, what we realized is that a regulator has a lot of the same basic business problems that Primo was already solving. They have to intake information from a number of different sources, electronic and otherwise. They have to triage that data on a regular basis, review it quickly, and stay on top of the safety issues. So with a few major enhancements to the product line, we were able to come in and meet the business requirements for the US FDA Center for Devices and Radiological Health, and we're excited that within the next month or so, CDRH will actually be going live with Primo Regulatory as a replacement to their MOD system. So we're very proud and excited to see that happen. The other major member of the family is another new product called Primo Mobile. Primo Mobile is a mobile intake platform that is targeted for the global sales and field representatives so that they can capture the specific adverse event or product complaint footprint when they encounter the issue in the field. So if a sales rep is detailing a doctor and the doctor mentions that there is a problem, or they had a patient that had an adverse event, the sales representative can just use their iPad or phone to quickly capture those key details and submit them to the safety department, either via email or through an E2B transfer. So the mobile product is very exciting, and there will be a webinar a week from today that's focused on that mobile platform, and I would strongly encourage all of you to attend that because it's a very exciting product that we think is going to have a big impact in the market. So focusing in on the Primo manufacturing tool, again, the idea behind Primo is it's a central intake tool to standardize and streamline the intake from all sources. We're going to focus in today a little bit on the problems and challenges associated with the very common practice of having a drug safety inbox where potentially reportable adverse events are sent, and how Primo can help you manage that otherwise challenging area. So as we all know, adverse events are collected from a variety of sources, spontaneous sources, literature sources, your partners, sales representatives, clinical trials, and the emerging area of that's coming out in terms of the use of screening techniques against social media and other internet sources for potential adverse events. And all of this information gets sent into the safety departments in a number of different fashions, but a very common one is for it to actually come in via email. And this really can pose some regulatory and compliance challenges for companies because your standard email inbox, an Exchange server or IMAP server, whatever it might be, is not a very well-regulated and controlled environment. There's no audit trails. There's not a lot of history on the actions that are taken. And so it can become very difficult to answer the question, have I appropriately dealt with all of the information that I received via email? And those challenges can be, exacerbated by the different sources of information that come in and the way they come in. So we have challenges with manual communication. So somebody might call the safety department directly. Emails might come in and then get lost. If something comes into the inbox, somebody accidentally deletes it. There's really no history of that. You have sort of a disconnected workflow because your workflow starts in an email system and then finishes in a safety system. And there's intrinsic data quality issues associated with that because of the transfer of the information. And ultimately, these environments don't really offer a lot of auditing and controls over them. And all of that really sort of leads to what we have euphemistically called the safety black hole. So information kind of comes into this black hole, but it's not always clear exactly what happens to it after that. And that's really the challenge that we are focused on here with Primo and with today's webinar. So basically what happens is your departments end up sort of struggling with this intake process and ending up spending a lot of time just sort of managing these external environments where information is flowing in, and it ends up being a little bit of a habit trail sort of experience because of that. So where does Primo come in? So Primo comes in. Primo's job is to basically be the bridge between all the potential sources of your potential adverse events and product complaints, and then the appropriate commercial systems such as Oracle Argus, Aris Global, to manage those adverse events, or your EQMS type solutions should it be a product complaint. So Primo really is the stepping stone into these systems. And one of the intake streams that Primo supports is the ability to pull email directly from an email server into Primo. And this is an important source here because what this does for you is that instead of having your PV team accessing an Outlook, accessing an Exchange server or some other email server using Microsoft Outlook or some other tool, these emails now get pulled into a standard intake environment, and it's the same intake environment that you can use for processing manual events, interfacing with your call centers directly. Primo supports intake of E2B, and a variety of other intake streams that can be supported and standardized in a single streamlined tool. Again, today, though, we're focusing on the challenges associated with email. So when an email gets sent, it gets pulled directly into Primo and stored. And at that point, we're in a fully compliant 21 CFR Part 11 environment where every action that's taken on the content of that email is fully audited and controlled. Once we have that information, Primo has tools that will allow you to interact with the reporter on an ongoing basis. So as soon as the email arrives in Primo, an acknowledgement email is sent back. As you start processing that email, if you say, yes, this is real, I'm going to take this and make a report, Primo will send correspondence automatically back and say, hey, we've accepted your email. Here's the tracking number we've assigned to it. Please anticipate follow-up. And then Primo supports a full correspondence life cycle for initial and follow-up management around that potentially reportable adverse event. So we can generate letters, send those letters back to the reporter. When the reporter responds to those, Primo automatically senses that it's a response to one of its requests, processes it accordingly, and we have this very automated way in which we can manage the process where you are determining whether or not this information that's flowing into you even belongs to you. And if you make a determination that it is your products and you need to process this information, Primo has an automated mechanism to exchange that data, to transfer that data to the appropriate global system. And most importantly, if you decide that it's not something that needs to be continued to process, for example, it's not your product upon follow-up, Primo will ask you to justify that decision about why you're not moving information from Primo into your global tracking system. So rather than having a bunch of non-cases and rumor cases and whatnot in your global systems, those can just live in Primo, where the entire process of leading up to that decision is fully audited and fully tracked. And all of that functionality is what Primo is really all about. It is the bridge and stepping stone, if you will, between your reporters and your global systems. So the benefits of adding a tool like Primo to your pharmacovigilance ecosystem, first, it's very lightweight and it's very easy to use. So the triage process can be one that often gets distributed pretty widely within an organization, say to an affiliate office and others like that, where the volume that they're processing can be low. And because of Primo's design, it's very easy to use, it's very accessible, it's a modern application, so it helps you capture good data, and ultimately that decreases the data entry errors and increases your quality. It is designed to be a full central intake solution, so basically it becomes the source of truth on all of your intake process and your follow-up process. And it provides you with instant feedback and metrics management of that intake process. It handles the complete intake life cycle, so you have an improved efficiency because you have a single solution that you can throw at this otherwise complex problem. It has comprehensive correspondence management, so you can do 100% of your intake and follow-up request process from the Primo tool rather than having to distribute that across multiple tools like call centers and your safety system and maybe manual tracking. All of it can be centralized within Primo. And then ultimately it seamlessly integrates with your global PV system. It means you're capturing consistent data and you can speed up your processing time by quickly and easily transferring information from Primo into your pharmacovigilance system. And ultimately, it's designed to make your intake process more efficient, more transparent, and ultimately more compliant. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into a demo, and just to avoid any potential